Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where we focus on food security, emergency preparedness, and self-reliance. Before we get started on the soup, I want to remind everyone of our Pam's Happy Birthday book sale, August 3rd through the 5th. And it's 33% off of every single thing. The time will run from 12:01 a.m. on the 3rd of August, which is my birthday. It will go all through the 4th of August, which is my grandfather's birthday. He would be 124 were he still alive. And then through midnight on August 5th, which is my grandson's birthday. So it is our big August birthday bash book sale. And remember, those times are mountain time. So make sure that you make adjustments according to your own time zone. Today is the middle of summer. It's headed over 100 degrees where we are today. We had rain last night. On my walk this morning, it was very humid. Today, even though it is hot and midsummer, we are thinking about fall and how wonderful a whole series of soups might be to have on hand. And we have a lot out in our food storage already, but I am adding a new soup recipe to our food storage today, and that is Aztec soup. And that recipe is right out of this book. You can probably tell how much I love this Ball book. It is the all-new Ball book of canning and preserving. The publication date on this is 2016, and I have used many of the recipes in this book in our videos. So it's still very much a very safe book for tested recipes. Because this book is copyrighted, I cannot provide you with a printed copy of the recipe, but this book will be listed in products underneath this video so that you can check it out if you wish. It's also in our Amazon store. Also, I'm going to be speaking the recipe. And so if you get a pencil and paper handy, you can probably just write it down. The recipe is enough to make either 6 pints or 3 quarts. I don't can soup in pints. When I open a quart of soup, Jim and I usually finish that off in one meal. If you are a single person, you might want to consider canning it in pints for yourself. So this is a pressure canning recipe. We will be processing the quarts for 90 minutes. Pints would go for 75 minutes. So that's very traditional. So let me introduce you to the ingredients and kind of what we're going to be doing. So it calls for 2 quarts of chicken broth. This is my home canned broth. It calls for 4 ears of corn. Now remember, I'm doubling the recipe. So a single version would just use 1 quart. The amounts that I'm going to give to you are the original recipe, but the original recipe I am doubling. So just know that even though I say 1 quart, I'm going to be using 2 quarts in this recipe, so that if you're writing it down, you will be writing down the original recipe that does 6 pints or 3 quarts. So the recipe calls for 1 quart of chicken broth. It calls for 4 ears of fresh corn, which I don't have. So I looked up how much corn 1 single ear yields, which is about 3/4 of a cup. So 4 ears of corn in the original recipe would be about 3 cups of frozen corn, which I have thawed right here. It calls for 2/3 of a cup of fresh lime juice. It calls for a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of cumin, and a teaspoon and a half of salt, 1.5 pounds of chicken, 1.5 cups of onion diced, and 3 cloves of garlic that are diced. Then over here, this is these are tomatillos. It calls for 6 tomatillos. It calls for 1 or 2 large poblano peppers and 1 or 2 jalapeno peppers. So that basically is the recipe. And I'll be saying those amounts again as we go through the process. The first thing that has to happen is these peppers need to go into the oven along with the tomatillos. We're going to blister the skins on the peppers, and we're going to soften the tomatillos. We put them in an oven that is at 425 degrees for about 25 minutes. And during that time, I will be turning the peppers so they have plenty of opportunity to blister the skins. We want those skins off. Once this is done in the oven. I'll remove the tray, the tomatillos will cool, the peppers will go into a little bowl with an airtight lid so that they can steam some more and cool a little bit, so I can then touch them with gloved hands because I don't want that capsaicin to get on my skin at all. I'll be peeling them, de-seeding them, and chopping them. And then with the tomatillos, we will be running them through my food processor to chop them as well. Then we will start combining ingredients into the soup. So that's sort of where we're headed. And so I'm going to get these in the oven right now. We will be back when I take these out of the oven. All right, here these are. You can see how the peppers have blistered their skins. We're just going to set them in here. They're soft. Also the jalapenos, the same. And we're going to put this airtight lid on to let them steam for a few minutes to make sure that we can take those skins off easily. The tomatillos have softened. This one has softened and relaxed. And so we're going to let these cool enough that we can get those into the food processor in just a few minutes. So we'll be back when there's more action. So we are back, and I have all of the chilies right in here. The poblano, I tasted those poblano, and they are lovely. They're very mild, but they have a wonderful taste. So the heat will come from the jalapenos. So here is my scrap pile. You can see that the outside skin, that cuticle, that tough little cuticle just came off so easy on the peppers. And so now I have them in here. This is just my little, this is actually my kitchen, my trailer food processor that I haven't taken out to the trailer yet because I'm finding so many uses for it in the kitchen.
Maybe you need to get another one.
I might have to. So I'm just going to quickly just crush these a little bit, chop them a little bit more. And then I'm just going to put them in this little container. And we will be adding these at a certain time when we're actually into the soup. So, but this chili mix is wonderful. Our oven just turned off after cooling down. Okay, so now that you've seen that, the next thing I'm going to do is the very same thing to these tomatillos. So they have now cooled down enough that I can put them in. And when I get all of that done, then I'm going to clear away some things and we'll get set up for actually putting the soup together. So we will see you in just a few minutes. All right, so for our soup right now, we have some olive oil that I have been heating. This is the pot that we will be using to preheat the soup before we put it in the jars. So as such, I'm going to repeat the ingredients as per the original recipe. Now, but you'll notice that I am doubling the recipe, so it's going to look like more than what I say. I'm saying the original recipe. So we are going to be heating 1.5 cups of diced white onion. And we're just going to cook this until the onion is soft. These onions are done to perfection. They're nice and golden and they are soft. So now we add, according to the original recipe, 4 ears of corn scraped off the cob, or 3 cups of frozen that have been thawed. So I'm adding that in for the original recipe. Also, 3 cloves of garlic. And I'm going to be adding the spices. 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And we're going to let these cook for about 5 minutes. All right, now I'm going to be adding the peppers. So right here, original recipe, 1 large poblano. I don't think I'm saying that right. Poblano. And 1 or 2 jalapeno. going in. And right here we have 6 tomatillos that have been slightly roasted and then turned into a puree, seeds, skin, and all. Two-thirds of a cup of fresh squeezed lime juice. Oh, yum. And 1 quart of chicken broth. Now, we have everything in here except the chicken, starting to look like soup, and we need to bring this to a boil and boil it for 5 minutes. Look at this beautiful soup base. And Jim and I both just tasted it. Jim, what did you think?
I thought it was very, very good. Very nice.
Oh, the lime juice in there just really pops the taste.
Tickled my jaws.
Okay, so now we're going to be adding the chicken. We did not want to taste it after we add the chicken because the chicken will not be all the way done through before we put it in the jars. So next what has to happen is we have to now bring the mixture up and boil it again for 5 minutes. Here we are ready to dish the soup up. I'm hoping that we will get 6 quarts. And I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do this in such a way that all of the ingredients are evenly dispersed. The meat appears to be floating on the top, so I'm going to want to be cautious about that. In fact, I can see already that I'm going to need to scoop in meat first. Okay, now we can just kind of dip and pour. And we'll be leaving 1 inch of head space.
Just short.
Oh, just a little short. So I have here some chicken broth that I just took out of the refrigerator. I'm going to put this in the microwave, bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to fill this one the rest of the way with that chicken broth. So what I did was I went into every jar and pulled out a few solids to put in this jar, and now I'm just going to go back through and fill all of these with a little bit of this broth up to the 1 inch mark to compensate for the solids I stole. And we are good to go.
Close enough.
I know. Now I'm going to just do a few little dips in here, stir around, and release any air bubbles that might be there. This is going to look beautiful in the jars, and oh my, is it ever delicious. I'm just really looking forward to having these soups for fall. Now I have a paper towel here that has been dampened with vinegar, since I do have chicken in here with the possibility of oil being on the top of these rims. This vinegar will just cut that oil and ensure that we get good seal all around. So we have 6 quarts, just what the recipe called for, with an extra, a little cup plus a little bit extra. So it's just a little bit over a cup of that extra broth to make up the slight difference. So you can keep that in mind when you are making this soup. Add a little bit of extra broth at the beginning. And we're doing finger tight. So we will meet you out there. The water is simmering. I'm just going to lift these jars in. We put about 2.5 inches of water in the bottom, so there will be plenty enough to create the steam that is needed always for pressure canning. The water should come up to a little bit lower than halfway on these jars. Jim, do you want to come over and take a little look here?
Yeah, I do. Okay, there it is.
So I'm putting the lid on. And I've turned it up a little bit. So we're going to get this really boiling. Pretty soon steam will be exiting here at a really good clip. And so we want that to continue venting for 10 minutes. That expels all of the air in the canner and replaces it with steam, at which time we will put the weight right here to hold the steam and the pressure in. And for our elevation, we need to get it up to 13 psi, pounds per square inch. And we hold it between 13 and 15 for 90 minutes or an hour and a half. At which time we turn the heat off, walk away, let it cool down on its own, and we will bring you back when we are ready to take those out of the canner. So we will see you then. It's already hot out here. In fact, it is almost 90 degrees this morning. So we are in business. So we'll see you soon. Canner is finished. We've let it sit for an extra 5-7 minutes. Oh, we've got thunder out there. Did you hear that, Jim?
Yeah, I did.
Yay, maybe we'll get some cooling rain. Anyway, we're ready to take the lid off, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Checking first, there is no pressure left, so we're good. Removing the lid away from me. And now, oh, look at that boiling still going on.
Yeah. Does that once in a while.
So, beautiful soup. Beautiful thunder.
Yeah. That'll be nice.
Yes. It looks like we had no siphoning, so that is
It's
good.
even better.
Really smells good.
That smells very good.
Can you can smell it too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we gave him another 2 or 3 minutes to calm down a little bit, but it's cooler in the house, so they'll cool down quicker. It's almost 100 degrees outside. Well, these turned out beautiful, just beautiful. There they are. And we're going to just leave them and not touch them for several hours. Before bed tonight, I will wash them in hot soapy water and get any of the mineral residue from the water off of them and get them out in our soup collection outside in our food storage. I am just delighted with this soup. It tasted so good when we tasted the broth before we added the chicken. I cannot wait until we get some cold weather for more reasons than one, and especially so that we can start enjoying this soup. So Aztec soup, success. 6 quarts to add to our soup collection outside, so that will really help. So thank you so much for being with us for this exciting, oh, there went one. So there's one that just popped. So that's just great. So thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you again very soon for more videos.